Soaring Higher. One man's true story of the faithfulness of God in a life of travel and adventure around the world. By Dr. Philip C. Eyster. Narrated by Lyle Blaker. Chapter 1. Welcome to the Glamorous Life. London, Paris, Hong Kong, Rio, Bangkok, Bombay, Beijing, and Kathmandu. These places scream adventure, excitement, and glamour. After decades of travel, there is a standard joke our team recites to each other when we find ourselves trapped in uncomfortable conditions. Welcome to the glamorous life. The sarcasm isn't lost on anyone. Staying in huts, traveling in the back of trucks, wading through mud, trash, and human waste become normal and anything but glamorous. The accommodations are whatever is available, and the food is generally the best the people can provide. We are always grateful, but sometimes gratitude can only go so far. Years ago in the Philippines, we stayed in a home that was fairly spacious by local standards. It would even have been considered upscale. It had cement walls and a tin roof, but almost no ventilation. The island humidity made the house a sauna. During the day, the sun would heat up the cinder block walls, and at night, they would discharge the heat inside. When my friend and I walked into the guest room, we looked at each other and said, "This is going to be a problem." I had a thermometer with me that read 130 degrees with near 100% humidity. Neither one of us slept that first night. We lay on our backs with sweat dripping onto the sheets. We had one oscillating fan, but 2 beds. Depending on the direction of the fan, our thoughts alternated between life and death. The heat and lack of sleep led to the next problem: dehydration and a lack of appetite. The next morning, neither of us wanted to eat. Our hosts were very nervous about trying to please us and kept offering food suggestions. The problem wasn't the choice of food, it was the temperature of the house. During the day, we went out to preach at schools and open-air markets. By late afternoon, we returned to bake in the preheated room. By day 2, we both developed symptoms of dehydration: headache, dizziness, loss of appetite, and fatigue. The second night was only slightly better than the first, as we had purchased a second fan, which meant we both could receive hot air at the same time. Day 3 dawned, and looking at food was nauseating. The only things we could stomach were pineapple and water. My friend and I discussed the situation, and though we knew it would disappoint our hosts, we were going to have to find an air-conditioned hotel. Our plan was to do the ministry that day, and then in the afternoon inform them of our decision. As my friend was the leader, it was his responsibility to let them know we were leaving. About 10 minutes later, he came back and said, "We can't leave." He tried to explain our situation to them, but when he did, the husband pleaded with us to stay, and his wife and mother-in-law started weeping, begging us not to leave. We laid down on our beds and pondered our fate. We're going to die. How do you stand up to a crying grandmother? Later, the wife came into the room and requested us to look in her pantry and pick out something we would eat. As my friend was now bedridden, I went out into the kitchen, praying that God would help me find something. I looked for bread, crackers or saltines, something bland. There was nothing that looked appealing, but I had to pick something. For some crazy reason, the least objectionable, most familiar item at the moment seemed to be a can of Del Monte creamed corn. Pointing to the corn, I said, "We can eat this." She was excited. She had finally found something we would eat. I went back to the room, announced my discovery, and waited for dinner. In a few minutes, the woman walked into the room and proudly presented us with 2 tall glasses of creamed corn over ice. We were speechless and could barely utter the words, "Thank you." What on earth were we going to do? I had just picked this out. How could I possibly not eat it? After the earlier crying episode, this would kill them. I ended up going into the family bathroom and flushing it down the toilet, taking care not to leave any residue in the bowl. That evening, my friend was too sick to preach at our evening meeting, so I went alone. When I returned around 9 o'clock, he was nearly unconscious, and his speech was slurred. "That's it. We won't last another night. We have to get out of here."
Sample complete. Ready to continue?